Hi, everybody. It's Grace Bell. I'm the creator of Eating Peace online program and in-person retreats, and the author of Grace Notes, a daily inspiration for questioning stressful beliefs with self-inquiry. And then Peace Talk, too, a fairly new podcast. You can look for that on iTunes and leave a review. So I welcome all the new subscribers. There's quite a few new people because I know I've had my webinar out there and presentation, and thank you so much for watching it. I'm here really so dedicated and devoted to spreading peace around food and eating because it was so torturous for me, so very torturous. And to have a life where eating it becomes difficult and even violent is a very, very hard life. And when I first began 30 some years ago to have such a difficult relationship with food and eating, I didn't even know really what was happening. It felt like something was happening to me, or I was doing something with incredible feeling energy on the inside of me that I almost couldn't explain. Very, very painful. And many, many years of studying and searching initially for some sort of answer and some kind of peace finally did bring me a great sense of joy and innocence when it comes to food and eating. And I know that everyone can have it, even you. I used to wonder, could this ever be normal for me? And not just normal, not just surviving or managing your situation or making it through or kind of maintaining a body, but with vigilance. I think because of my own personal experience, you can move into complete freedom and relaxation when it comes to food and eating. It feels like I did when I was a little child. I say that from time to time, and it's still stunning to me. It didn't feel like I would ever get back here, and I've been here for many years. So what's happened in my story is, first there was about a decade of extreme wildness and tension, like a tsunami of feelings and emotions that would come and go in waves, and a desperation and seeking all kinds of therapeutic modalities and studying and reading books and going to a million personal growth workshops. Some were really weird. Some of the weird ones were really good. Some were really normal. Learned a tidbit from all of them, and had many powerful teachers and wonderful people who were of great assistance. Did family therapy with sisters and parents, and worked really hard, and sort of had this place where I became more stable. Then for about a decade, as I look back, I would say I had a vigilant mind. I had sort of a constant fear of possibly falling off the wagon, or having an overeating episode, or worrying about my weight. If I walked down the street and I saw a glimpse of myself in a mirror or a window, I would immediately still think with self-criticism, ooh, oh my God, you got to fix that, or you got to adjust. There's something wrong with you. That would be my still immediate response for the most part for a whole nother decade. So it was almost as if the wild, we had a tsunami going, and then everything started to come down a little into just rainstorms, and kind of some harshness and fiery feelings. Not exactly peaceful. I would definitely say I did not have eating peace for a long time. And then something became much more refined for me in my exploration, where I found a sense of personal awareness in that, and really an acceptance that this path with food and eating was the same as a spiritual path. I didn't make that up myself. I learned from many. Janine Roth has been an incredible mentor through her authorship, through writing her books. I found her in the 1980s. And just the notion of having my relationship with food and eating really is a symbol, or my path in a search for source, union with the universe. I mean, it's so amazing that you're actually, when you eat, you're taking something that's outside of yourself, apparently, and seems to be separate, and consuming it and drawing it in, and it becomes a part of you. And to have that happen joyfully instead of with anxiety and fear is incredible. And I think it's what everybody's really looking for, a sense of joy and ecstasy and love, combining yourself with the universe and not being an independent, separate entity. One of my favorite teachers, who I've done a lot of wonderful retreats with and read and listened to his voice, and you know how we do that studying with people, who he's really resonated for me, is a man called Adyashanti. And here he wrote, I have a book here. He says, "There is no greater addiction than to being me. That great drunken fool who only knows how to stumble on along, speaking drool-lipped nonsense to himself. 500 drunken lifetimes is enough for even the most persistent fool to begin to see his folly." I laugh because 500 binges was really enough, and I probably had thousands. 500 moments of pain and discomfort around food and eating. Yes, I know you feel the sense of that it is enough, the difficulty, and it's so hard when you can't find what the answer is, though, and you find yourself moving and repeating the same pattern over again. But I know from all this experience that I've had and all the learning that it's possible to end that and have your last lifetime with food and eating and a binge and compulsive behavior. So the last several years, more and more people began to ask me, how have you done this? Could you put this together? Could you teach me and tell me how? And I tried a few things. I did some short little classes. I did an 8-week course using just the work of Byron Katie, which is an amazing form of self-inquiry that I absolutely love. And people did not necessarily have great changes. They got it intellectually, but it didn't really sink into their whole body. They didn't have profound shifts. Maybe sometimes they were just on the cusp and that was all they needed, but it was too short of an amount of time. And I would try some other things, and then I'd sort of have this kind of half-hearted try at something, thinking, wow, such a huge and enormous lifetime of learning and exploring this. How can I deliver that in I don't know, some sort of class that would only last a day? Seems impossible. Well, maybe that isn't. Maybe it isn't completely impossible, and I began to just look, at least through writing a book about it. I thought, I can write a book about this. 4 broad areas where I divided out what I learned, gathering all the authors and the things that were the most rich and important for me when it came to ending wars with food and eating. And these categories were the mind, feelings, the body, and spirit. And I know others who are talking about the human psyche and recovery and just being in the human condition could speak to those 4 umbrella categories too, even if it's not the topic of food and eating. And I found them to fit perfectly. They just helped organize. The mind loves organization. So I began with mind. Mind seemed to be so brilliant at thinking and speedy and fast and beyond, kind of bigger and wider than all the rest of the categories. It seemed to dominate things and sort of want to take over because of just the nature of how it is. So I began looking at just mind and what I learned that helps thinking, that helps intellect. I was really good at that. And those places I felt a little more comfortable, and a lot of people do. I don't know why. If it's being human on the planet for centuries, And if we just find dominance in the mind and find that we want to connect with the mind in order to see what to do next, or to analyze what happened in the past, or to understand what's in the present here. Now, the mind loves diets. It likes adding up numbers, and it likes to weigh things and measure stuff and see pictures of things and then judge. Have you noticed? The mind is just very busy doing a lot of damage control and a lot of goal setting. So I started with the mind and really gathered a lot of information about how to work with that busy mind. And of course, feelings are the most amazing things in the world, and the most difficult, and often what somebody who overeats is dealing with and afraid of, like actually feeling fear or anger or grief, despair or sadness, and not wanting to feel it. And so quick going to the mind to do something to get out of that feeling. So an acceptance or a clarity around feelings and being able to be with feelings was huge for me. Body, I'll talk a little bit more about body and spirit. The body, just the natural place of having this body. I mean, the body is so bizarre in some ways. We study it and we look at it, and in the history of science, we see what's on the inside of it, but no one knows why it's put together this way or what's going on here. What a crazy thing. I mean, it's impossible to really know. What's the source? Why do we have 2 arms and 2 legs? And there's every kind of creature and combination of creature on this planet Earth, is there not? It's just amazing and bizarre, and you can't really know it with the mind. It's just, here you are, and you have this incredible body, and you get to live in it. And finally, spirit. This has been a spiritual path for me. Having an eating disorder, having then mildly disordered eating, painful eating, difficult eating, concerned eating, having all of that has led me on a path to the most incredible peace, the most beautiful silence in the center of everything. And I realize, just like many teachers say, I had this the whole time. And so have you. There's been someone who has been watching everything you've done when it comes to food and eating, who has been totally accepting and totally silent with all of it. Have you noticed? That center, that self in the middle, you can even feel it. It might even be near your stomach, your heart. That place is an amazing teacher. And being more and more connected to that is what happened for me as I studied and grew and expanded. All because, and it all was sparked off by this very, very violent and painful situation with food and eating. So, a little longer video today. I just wanted to give kind of a broad overview of what I've been looking at, what I've been writing down and compiling and putting together, mind, feelings, body, and spirit, and talk a little bit more about all of those in the next few days ahead. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I love that you're here. There is hope for you. You are awesome. There is something amazing about having something wrong with your eating. I know that's the most bizarre thing you've ever heard to say, but really, you are powerful, fiery, and intense, and there's something inviting you to a new place, a new way of looking at things, because you have this problem. All right? So take good care, and I'll talk to you very soon. Lots of peace, everybody. Bye-bye.